So last week I had a bit of a conversation with someone about whether or not Etsy was a good place or not to sell handmade these days. They had recently decided to close their shop completely and start a website. And my stance had been, would it not be an idea to create a website and get it going alongside Etsy and then move solely to your website once it had gained traction? They were like, nope, absolutely not. And they asked me the valid question of, why do I stick with Etsy when sales are so unpredictable and it can put you through phases of where you're grafting and hustling yourself to stupidity and you're not getting much in return? Fair question. So I'm making this video to tell you what I told them, and it's essentially explaining why I'm sticking with Etsy for now. Now, the first reason has to be organic sales. Yes, sometimes they can be few and far between. However, most of my sales come from traffic that I myself have generated. Etsy, though, do bring in some of their own traffic. It seems to be getting less lately, but I'll put a pin in that for now and just say that it has organic traffic that I wouldn't necessarily have had if I had my own standalone website. The second reason is that people know and trust Etsy. Now, I'm probably going to get people in the comments arguing this. Etsy is a household name, and long gone are the days when I would just tell people that I had an online shop because I didn't want to get into the whole thing of having to explain to them what an Etsy was. Nowadays, you just say, I have an Etsy shop, and people immediately know what you're talking about. Now, my understanding is that if I were to create a website, there would be a lot of people that wouldn't know who I was and would have to build up that know, like and trust factor, or that's technically 3 different factors, and I would have to build that up over time. Okay, I know I'm going to get it in the comments for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's relatively cheap. Okay, don't throw things, don't shout at your screen, don't warm up your fingers and start leaving angry messages. Hear me out first. Yes, those fees are numerous and they all mount up, some of them more than others. Off-site ads. But for handmade, and I do want to stress this, I'm talking about physical handmade products, the kind that you make with your hands and you wrap with your hands and you post with your hands. I can't think of any other way you would do it. But if you are making handmade physical products and you're getting started, Etsy is the cheapest place. For a start, if your product is complete rubbish, you lose nothing but the listing fee, because those other little fees, slightly bigger fees, only start to accumulate once you've sold something. So for people who come at me going, oh, but what about eBay or Amazon or blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's fine, but Handmade doesn't always do as well on those platforms as they do on Etsy. And yes, with a website, you can shaft a lot of those fees off into the bin because they don't exist. But then you have a pretty hefty monthly fee just to have the website. Okay, it's not very hefty, but if you have a very small budget, it's hefty. The next one is that I think it is still the best place to get started selling handmade as far as platforms go that are not your own website. I used to be quite confident in saying this. As the years go on, I feel less and less confident, and Etsy being the best place for handmade sellers is becoming more and more debatable with every passing moment. But for now, at the time of filming, it's still a very good place to sell handmade and get started. Well, a lot of the stuff on there isn't handmade, and if you are a handmade seller, you are going toe-to-toe with people who are mass producing stuff and sticking it in the handmade category, which does my head in. That aside, Etsy is still well known for being a place to get handmade and unique products. So for that reason alone, it just gets there. Is it still the best place for handmade apart from a website and social media and craft shows? Yeah, it's a solid number 4. So what's that? That's 4 reasons why I'm sticking with Etsy right now, which I'm sad about that because the list used to be longer. But those 4 reasons are still solid-ish enough for me to be sticking with Etsy at the moment. So back to websites. Do I have one? I do not. Am I going to get one? Absolutely. This chat I had with the person that I spoke of at the beginning of this video, whoops, sorry, it did take me unawares how much this person had been able to fly off with their website. So, despite my comment earlier about the added cost of running a website, I personally have now reached the point where my accumulated monthly Etsy fees are pretty consistently either the same as or more than what it would cost to run a website. So, although getting a website alongside Etsy would be double the money, in order to scale up, it's a necessary step forward now. And frankly, I think I probably should have created a website long before now. It's time. And it's going to involve learning a whole new skill set. I'm going to have to learn SEO for Google, which is not something I've really fussed with before. I'm going to start using Google Analytics again, which I know is currently in a state of flux. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be able to change my pricing strategy because I'm not going to be dealing with the gift shop, which is a metaphor I often use when talking about Etsy. Website is your gallery and Etsy is your gift shop. And unfortunately, sometimes it means that you can't price what you want to for items because then you would price yourself out of what your customers are willing to spend on something on Etsy. A lot of people forget this when it comes to pricing. They forget that every platform, every place has its own culture. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's like if you go to a car boot sale. I could rock up to a car boot sale with one of my handmade pieces and I could try and charge 50 quid for it. At a car boot sale, nobody is going to spend 50 quid on one of my embroidered pieces. It's just not the place for it. However, in the right place and in the right setting, people might even say that it would be underpriced. So this is my issue when people come up to Etsy and go, you are overpricing, you're underpricing. It's like, oh, good God. On Etsy, there is unfortunately there's a glass ceiling. Was it Cara? Yes, it was Cara. There. I'm going to go with there. If it's not, it's there. It's there. We're going to go with it. We're committing. There's the video that I did with her where she was talking about selling one-of-a-kind vintage. I did one on her channel where I was talking about selling one-of-a-kind handmade. And she quite rightly made the comment that people, something is only worth what somebody is willing to buy it. Oh my days. She did not put it that way. She used words that made sense, Kim. Okay, let's try again. What did she say? I can't bloody remember. I'm going to watch the video.
And how do you know what that is? Because things really are worth exactly what someone is willing to pay for them. And
things are worth exactly what people are willing to pay for them. I could have just clipped that and put that in this video, couldn't I? Yeah. Oh, good grief. It's just full of squirrels in here, just going like this, round and round and round. Where was I? I can't even remember anymore. Good God. Right, okay. I don't know if any of you are even still interested in this video. If not, click on that video because it's a good one. Where was I? Websites. I'm going to go with websites. Yes, so my personal advice to anyone who was interested would be if you are getting bored of Etsy's nonsense, or it just feels like too much work for not enough return. I had welly going on in my head for some strange reason. I need to end this video. The sooner the better. If you're making sales, any kind of sales on Etsy, keep your shop open. I mean, I can't tell you what to do. You need to do what you want. But I would personally recommend that if you are getting sales, organic sales, keep your shop. Etsy, yes, it has its issues, but I don't know. I still rate it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. But I do absolutely think that it is a good idea, if you can afford it, to start your own website. If anybody is familiar with my channel, you'll know that each month I post behind the scenes videos of my stats and revenue. They are only supposed to be published until the end of the year, and then I don't know if I'm going to move them to my channel membership or I'll just stop doing them altogether. So what I might do is, once they've finished, just start showing you all of the behind the scenes of me trying to get my website up and running and what goes into that. So yeah, I think that could be an idea, and you can tell that I've literally had this idea as I've sat down to film, and I'm just speaking out loud. So let me know if you think that might be something that you'd like to see here on this channel, and if so, I will start steering the ship in that direction. I'm going to go now. Bye.